Who's on first? The Let's Get To Local 9, brought to you by Zoomer Sport.
So normally on this section of Let's Get To, the Who's on First segment, we bring you a GM from a minor league team. Well, we're going to bring you the man, or one of the men, one of the people behind the baseball movement in Ireland, from Baseball Ireland, Mr. Tom Kelley. How's it going, Tom?
It's going really good. Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Thanks for jumping on. So before we
Sure.
kind of get into what Baseball Ireland is and everything that you guys are doing for youth baseball and softball and adult baseball, how did you yourself get into baseball?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been playing baseball my whole life. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, right? So grew up, high school, and just played a lot of baseball. And I moved to Ireland in the mid-'90s to do graduate school, basically, is why I came over here. And I mean, there was a league that was starting up just about the time I got here, and a lot of people were already here setting the groundwork. So just bringing my knowledge, love of the game, and to bring it to my new home at the time, it was just a lot of fun, and I've been here ever since.
I've been I spent about a week in Ireland in I guess 2002, and thought to myself, this might be the closest thing to heaven I've ever. I definitely told my wife the next time we go, it'll be a one-way trip.
Sure.
How is the appetite for baseball in Ireland?
Yeah, I mean, the game of baseball definitely has, the history, the tradition, the mythology, if you will, through literature and film. That's known over here in Ireland, but definitely as a sport, as an organized competitive sport, it's relatively new. We've been playing organized baseball here since the mid-'90s, right? So, and we started with about 4 teams. And over that time, just kind of how I guess Ireland's really kind of opened up to the rest of the world through the internet, through a lot of American companies relocating, or they're running a lot of the business out of Ireland. And now Ireland being the only English-speaking country in the European Union now after Brexit, right? It's just
Wow.
there's just a lot of connections between the United States and Ireland. And one thing that just kind of comes naturally with that is just a knowledge of the game of baseball, right? So just, briefly speaking about it, is just, yeah, definitely it's a sport that's known, but definitely it's a new sport, as an organized option for people. So actually, Ireland would actually be part of a wider European baseball competition and leagues as well. So it's kind of actually from the United States through Europe, and it's ended up here in Ireland.
I think the one question everybody would want to ask before we get to organization is everyone a Red Sox fan over there? It just seems like that's the sort of myth, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, absolutely, definitely. There's a lot of Bostonians here, a lot of New York, and it would be a good blend between Mets and Yankees, in fairness. But a lot of that comes into through no faults of their own.
Yeah.
We can't speak for their taste and everything, but it really, that I think is the connection between the United States and Ireland. It's places like Boston and New York, which would have seen a lot of immigration from Ireland to those places from the middle of the 20th century. So yeah, you can't help them in that. That was probably the first exposure to the game, was maybe a game at Fenway or
Right.
Old Yankee Stadium in the Bronx.
So let's talk a little bit about Baseball Ireland, because you guys are
Sure.
really top down, and I like the fact that you guys do little league both, or youth
Yeah.
baseball, both baseball and softball. How important is it to start at the grassroots when you're talking about building a baseball culture?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's extremely important. I mean, that's the culture that I came from. Ireland was a little bit different how it started, though. It actually started in the mid-'90s with a national team. So
Mhm.
that was before there was a league. Before what? There was a little bit of a little league, right? So I wouldn't say that it was totally non-existent. But kind of the first generation, if you will, from the mid-'90s was, the core group of of players that were around that national team. And kind of after that came the leagues, and then, having to come up with an idea to sustain the sport is you have to then invest time and effort into building up a structure that's going to be good for the youth, right? So, and that's been our main thrust of the organization over the past 5-6 years. We're rolling out a 10-year strategy to grow the game at youth level through engaging with the schools in particular, but also having our clubs form youth teams as well as their adult teams. So, I mean, and that's a very typical model for Europe in a lot of ways, in that the game is introduced to people who are, a little bit more advanced in age, perhaps. And as they're getting a little bit older, they want to continue the sport. And then it's like, oh, okay, we actually have to pay some attention to the kids. And that's where you'll start to really grow the game and build a community around each youth club. So that's extremely important to what we're doing right now.
Let's talk a little bit about the 10-year plan you spoke about. And I kind of want to remove what COVID might have done for that for now, because I know that COVID slowed down the momentum for everything. But what are some of the goals coming out of that? Where do you see the sport once you've sort of accomplished the plan?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt COVID's had an impact, especially as we were building up some momentum for our 10x10 strategy. That's what we call it, our 10x10 strategy. And that we had just opened up a new state-of-the-art indoor baseball facility that we can't use right now because of the restrictions.
Right.
So basically, I think what it's done is that as we were building up momentum, is that now we have a structure in place that we can build into. So yeah, as I mentioned, we have an indoor facility now. Also, we've been able to fund a full-time development coach, and that's extremely important as well. So this was all ready to go, and then COVID came, and then definitely kind of put a stop to things. But we've been pushing through, and that we're still playing. Well, last season we still had a league. We still played youth baseball. We've been doing a lot of things like most of the baseball world is now, online with online coaches or online coaching and player development courses. So we've been able to hold where we've been as far as the momentum. And we're hoping that with the rollout of the vaccines and as things open up, as that's what it looks like for this summer, that we're going to be able to start from where we left off. But no doubt there's been an impact, but it definitely hasn't impacted the enthusiasm in our membership. People just can't wait to get out there and start playing again.
It is funny how it seemed like the baseball world really was united. I watched more Chinese rule, Taiwan baseball than you ever would have thought, because I just needed it. I am not, and those who listen to my show know, or watch the show know, I am not the world's biggest fan of Rob Manfred. Whether you are or not is immaterial. But I wanted to ask, I thought one of the smart things that he was doing that I think, of course, was interrupted by COVID was actually playing series in Europe. How beneficial is that going to be for your organization to really help expose more people to the game?
Yeah, we need to see. It was the London series was extremely exciting. It got a lot of attention, scored a lot of runs, especially in that first game. I think it was pretty crazy. So, but I do think, it would be kind of cool to play a Major League Baseball game here in Dublin. But I think also how Major League Baseball, they're looking more to expanding the access to a marketplace, and that makes sense to go out of the UK and then maybe expand into mainland Europe a bit more. I mean, Ireland, it's a country about 4.5 million people, so we're not expecting Major League Baseball to invest, a lot of their resources into expanding the game here. But if we're clever about it and we have really good connections with the British Baseball Federation, and that we can um, um, engage with that experience, because I think they're going to be rolling out more and more games in London. I mean, basically what they did, they have all of the infield and all of the fencing off in a warehouse in outside of London.
Oh,
So
wow.
they're there for the long haul, right? So they're going to bring it back. And if we can get a little bit of media attention, if we can bring over some players and coaches, maybe to do like a day tour in Dublin and hit up some media, things like that, it's not going to be, having a direct effect of a game here. But I think, using that experience and that publicity and to, I guess, latch on to that in a way. And because that event will be like covered in the media here in Ireland, and I think there's a huge opportunity for that, not only in the main kind of big media, but a lot of social media, and even some like smaller niche online sports channels like yours, perhaps.
Like this one.
We
Yeah.
have these, we have these all over Ireland, and our story is really attractive to them. So anyway, that's kind of how I think we'd plan to engage with Major League Baseball with the London series in particular.
Yeah, I just really hope that the more people see it, they're like, oh, I like
Yeah.
baseball, and here's this thing right down the
Yeah.
street is hopefully the goal. So, just a few more questions before we wrap up.
Sure.
With 2021, what's the season looking like, and how can fans from across the pond, in the States, follow you guys as far as keeping up with how the season's going?
Yeah, I mean, it's we're due to start May 3rd is our opening day. The Irish government's going to be hopefully pulling back on the restriction just after Easter, right? So we have an A division and a B division and a youth league as well. We'll be playing about 20 to 25 games, hopefully,
nice.
if it's not truncated like it was last season. The best way to follow us right now would just be through our website, baseballireland.ie. We'll have all the games updated, some stats and things like that, and I think that'd be a good way for people to understand who we are. Also, the European Baseball Championships are scheduled to take place in June and July this year, and Ireland will be sending its a senior team, which will be competing for a qualifying spot in the European Championships, which is in September. So the qualifiers will take place in Slovakia, and they have all the games online there. Right.
Oh,
so I think that's a good way. So look at the Confederation of European Baseball website, and you'll be able to live stream all those games. Also, our 18 and under team will be competing in the European Championships in Italy in late June, and those games will be live streamed as well. So just do a little bit of calculation with the time zone differences and all, and all those. Our national teams will be live streamed this summer, but our league games will be you'll be able to follow them through our website.
The math for the time zone, that was my impression. There'd be no math in this interview, but we'll work through it. A couple more questions for you then before I let you run. So you can see around me, I'm a gear guy, and a lot of the fans of the show are gear people. Is there a way to get Baseball Ireland gear bought online and shipped to us?
Not at the moment. Yeah, I mean, we've had some challenging, especially with COVID, but even before that. I mean, we're just, a small volunteer organization, so we can get the stuff made up, but it's been hard to distribute and fulfill orders, right? But we are in the process of doing that, so I would encourage people to look at baseballireland.ie. If you want to get a hold of me kind of offline here, we'll work out something, right? But, for kind of, I guess, getting merch out with a business support and all that, that's going to be probably a little bit of a longer haul, only because it's been hard to distribute and to fulfill shipments. But if anyone listening has any ideas, if they know people, if they are interested in working with a very strong brand in Baseball Ireland, please let us know.
We will. I'm going to put you in touch with some people through email after
Cool.
this is over. I guess last question then is how can we
Sure.
help? I know a lot of the fans of this show are really about letting baseball grow. Is there a way we can contribute or at least help keep the lights on, as they say?
Yeah, I mean, we do have a donate page on our website. We got three main channels that we approve for donation. One is through the Ireland funds, and that's one channel, and this is all on our website as well. So
Okay.
I won't go into that. Another is the Friends of Baseball Ireland, which is a nonprofit charity that we've established in the United States just for that purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other is through Genesis Strategic Advisors. They're our fundraising support in the United States. They're based in Rhode Island. So, but if you look on our website, you'll see those three channels, and anyone who loves Ireland and loves baseball, that's a great way to give. And right now, all of the proceeds and the funds that we're able to bring in, it's going into youth baseball development. So that's really important to us, and I think any donor to Baseball Ireland likes hearing that. So it's all about promoting and engaging with our youth baseball programs.
Well, we love hearing that. He is Tom Kelley, the president
Yeah.
of Baseball Ireland. Tom, thank you so much for jumping on Let's Get To.
Yep, definitely. Thanks for having me.